It's time for us to check out the latest and greatest here of the week for Friday Night Meta. We do have a lot happening tomorrow with bans, that's right. So maybe a couple things we can discuss here today. And that reminds me, AceMTG, thank you on top of that for the collaboration, allowing me to play you one-on-one in your channel. Absolutely had a blast, and you should absolutely check that out as well. All right, so here's what we got going on today. Down below, you'll find the timestamps as we walk through each of the formats between best of 1 and best of 3. We will comment a little bit on the ban stuff. We did have some banter in Ace's video on that. Very brief, nonetheless. We were very hyper-focused on our list. And with that, we'll walk through everything here as we always do. Now, if you happen to have a question or comment, let me know. I love to hear from you as always. And come swing by the Discord server, join our community there. We'd love to see you. All right, so here's what we got going on in best of 1. So right now we got mono white humans at the top, so as the angels, the burn, the aggro, the mono black mid-range, mono black control, 5-color domain, and mono blue tempo. The biggest thing that you can see, obviously, again, continues to be the Azor soldiers missing from a lot of the top played. Not a lot of players on that, even though it's still a very, very powerful list. Now, as we scroll down here, you can see that mono red burn is doing a lot in terms of popularity, again being right fresh here out of the season. Pretty typical when we see that, but again, it has been fairly significant in terms of play. And then you can see how everything else is moving around there as well. And then here, mono white humans, again trending down, but still one of the most solid decks. And then Rakdos mid-range in there as well, kind of starting to make some prop and move up. We've definitely covered a few of those here on the channel for the past week as well that you should check out, and some other interesting lists for standard. We'll leave it at this because not going to be a lot of information on Mythic here out of the gate for August, and fresh out of there as always. Now quickly, let's move over to best of 3. Best of 3 here, we do have mono black control at the top, followed by dimmer mid-range, Azor's control, mono red aggro, 5-color domain, mono white mid-range, Esper control, and Selesnya enchantments. And then here we go again in terms of what's popularity. Lots on dimmer mid-range, lots in Esper control, 5-color domain, mono black control, and then the rest. And then here you can see that popularity spike, dimmer mid-range. Really like that list. Again, Esper control, mono black control, and here we go on as well. Down below, mono red aggro was doing very well, but then again, you see a lot of those other things popping up like Esper control. Now, in terms of where we may end up in terms of some of the standard bannings, particularly, as you could see, that strength in black is certainly noticeable, and as well in that 5-color domain. Maybe some targets could be Sheoldred or Atroxa. I did comment on that a little bit in Ace's video, where maybe not though. However, I always enjoy a fresh standard. And again, that's one of the reasons why Alchemy was developed in the first place, was to have a more kind of aggressive change to the format, particularly again standard. So big things to think about there in terms of what could happen for standard bannings. All right, let's go ahead and move on over to Alchemy. So again, we just commented on this. Here we do get access to Lord of the Rings, which is great. And at right now, for the start of the season, we do see Rakdos Sacrifice at the top, mono red burn, dimmer control, 5-color legends, mono black mid-range, Grixis mid-range, Orzhov tokens, mono black Nazgul. Nazgul being one of the more popular ones. Black obviously dominating here in terms of Alchemy as well, because you can see it in pretty much everything minus mono red burn. So let's go ahead and see what's happening here. You can see popularity dropping between control and Nazgul, and then some of the other stuff like Orzhov tokens kind of picking up there a little bit, and some of the other stuff that's moving around. And then here in terms of win rate, we do see that Rakdos Sacrifice doing very, very well, and then mono red burn also doing very well in best of 1 Alchemy. Let's go ahead and move over to best of 3. Best of 3 is dominated by 4 decks: Rakdos midrange, Rakdos Sacrifice, Grixis midrange, and Jund Legends. And again, here you go on the right in terms of popularity, really Rakdos Sacrifice in terms of what's happening there. All right, so Alchemy again could face some change ups here potentially. Big one being really the One Ring. All right, let's go ahead and move over to Historic. Historic here, we got Is It Wizards, Dimir Dredge, Selesnya Squirrel Twin, Rakdos Midrange, Mono Green Elves, Mono Black Control, No Color Paradox Storm, and Temur Gates. I love Gates list. Is It Wizards, Rakdos Midrange, Mono Green Elves, Mono Black Control, Dimir Dredge, Selesnya Squirrel Twin, No Color Paradox Storm, Temur Gates. Heavy on that Is It Wizards still being a very, very strong list. We've definitely covered that one here on the channel that you can check out too. And you can look at some of that popularity trending over time. We do see that Rakdos midrange picking up. We see that No Color Paradox Storm dropping off though. And again, this is coming off the back of Anthology 3. So we're starting to see some of these things level out because it has been about 2 weeks. And again, we do see that Is It Wizards climbing back up. Maintaining at the top here, and then everything else kind of moving around. We do see a drop in Selesnya Squirrel Twin and a host of other things. All right, let's move over to best of 3. Best of 3 here, we got Golgari Yawgmoth, Dimmer Control, Is It Wizards, Naya Domain Zoo. There we go, Naya Domain Zoo, I love it. Rakdos Midrange, Jund Midrange, Mono Green Devotion, and Temur Gates. Rakdos Midrange, Dimmer Control, Jund Midrange, and Golgari dominating the list. And then you can see those trends here, very, very solid in terms of that popularity. Lots of things moving up as the meta develops. And then here we go again at the win rate for the start of the season. Big drop there for Yawgmoth, but makes sense usually at the reset, as we always see. So things for us to keep an eye on. Now, again, touching on bans, I still think the One Ring could be a target for something like this as well. Let's go ahead and check out Explorer. Here we are in Explorer. If it goes, let's go over to best of 3. There we go. Let's pop back to best of 1. And we'll do a quick reload. Explorer, best of 1. We got it. All right. There we go. Rakdos Sacrifice, Mono White Humans, Selesnya Angels, Mono Green Devotion, Abzan Greasefang, Temur Creativity, Rakdos Midrange, and Azor's Control. Then on the right, heavily dominated by those top 4. And again, here you see Anthology 3's release and impact in terms of what we're seeing. We do see a fall off in Angels there, but Mono Green Devotion, but really Abzan Greasefang really coming back up. Same with Temur Creativity. And then here in terms of win rates, we do see some suppression, but we do see a very, very big rapid rise there in Rakdos Sacrifice. Something to keep an eye on in terms of what we'll continue to see in the meta as things develop for us here in Explorer Best of 1. Best of 3, let's take a look here. Mono White Humans, Azor's Spirit, Mono Green Devotion, Rakdos Sacrifice, Abzan Greasefang, Azor's Lotus Field, Rakdos Midrange, and Temur Creativity. Fairly solid, almost up to the top 5 in terms of what's being played that we'll keep an eye on here. We got a big boost in Mono Green Devotion, similar Rakdos Midrange. A lot of these things are really, really heavily coming up in terms of what we're seeing in popularity of play. Similar even for some of the things at the bottom there, but we have this huge boost in Mono White Humans and a very good boost in Azor's Spirits. A nice kind of clawback there with Azor's Lotus Field. In terms of what's happening here in Explorer Best of 3. And obviously always open for bans here potentially too to impact the meta. All right, so Historic Brawl. Here's what we got going on. Atraxa, Grand Unifier, Ragavan, Roscoe, Itali, the First Sliver, Emoti, Xenagos, and Sauron there. So a little bit better on the bottom now because we're above that 50% win rate. Here you can see on the right, again, some of the more popular lists. Definitely dominated here by Itali, as well as Atraxa. A little bit of a pop right there towards the end. We do see this one really picking up, Xenagos as well. And then Smeagol's in there too as the helpful guide. Don't forget about that one. And then down below here, you can see the flipping back and forth between Atraxa and Ragavan. Pretty smooth in terms of Roscoe, and then similar style here with Itali, Emoti, and Xenagos, and then very Sauron and Smeagol as well, just because it is selected there. So that is what is going on in Historic. Again, we did have the set release of Anthology 3, and again, a big one for God of Realms there. So let's go ahead and pull all the way back. So that is our snapshot of the week against all the formats with the latest and greatest information for you. Some new trends and things appearing there from the Anthology 3 that impacted those formats. We got a reset here for the month of August, and bans coming here tomorrow. We'll look forward to seeing what happens there and checking that out and keeping all of you abreast and up to date in the latest and greatest. With that, thank you for tuning in. As always, appreciate your support. Thank you for the likes and the subs, and thank you to all the members for their contributions as we continue to grow this amazing community. If you have questions, if you have comments, let me know. I love to hear from you. It is true, I do. And come swing by the Discord server. As always, we got an amazing community there as well. We got a ton of great Magic content available to you here on the channel. We did, again, last final call out to Ace here. Check out the 1v1. It was a ton of fun, and he's done a great job with his content creation as well. So Mythras approved. With that, we got more coming your way. We're looking forward to seeing what happens with the bans, just like you. And until next time, we'll see you again soon. Mythras out of here. Take care.